On this episode of the HyperFast Agent Show, we have an amazing guest. He is a successful real estate agent turned coach, has spent time in both the Mike Ferry and Tom Ferry organizations before striking out on his own and helping tons of agents, particularly listing agents. Welcome to the show, Chadi Bazzi. All right, welcome to the show, Chad. It's an honor to have you on. Before we dive into all the amazing stuff we're going to talk about today, why don't you give the listeners a little bit of background on who you are and how you got to where you are now and what you do?
Got it, buddy. You got it. First of all, Dan, I just want to say thank you very much having me on here today. It's an honor to be amongst people who are leaders in our industry and are making a difference all day, every single day for this industry that we love so much. My name is Chadi Bazzi. I've been directly and indirectly in the real estate industry now for approximately 23 years. I started selling real estate in Dearborn, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. And just like anybody else, had my not so good start. I was doing real estate on a part-time basis while driving an ice cream truck in the summertime and delivering pizza, throughout the year to make ends meet. And wanted to earn six figures. Like that was my goal. I want to get to six figures. And the problem we had in that marketplace is that my average commission check was approximately $800. So I wanted to find a better way. So I went to join a real estate team in my marketplace, and basically the team leader didn't take me on as a buyer's agent because he felt like I was, not in the right frame of mind, wasn't equipped to be a part of his team. And he gave me an audio program by Mike Ferry. And while driving, delivering pizza 14 hours a day, I burned through that audio program like crazy, memorized the heck out of it. And then I started to do good in real estate. But then again, I couldn't get to the 100,000 mark. So I was like, why don't I just go work for Mike? That's exactly what I did. I sold my home in Dearborn, Michigan, had a 2-year-old son at the time, kept him with his grandparents for a couple of months, drove straight to Newport Beach, California, went to work for Mike Ferry, never really graduated from college. So that was like my college education, did very good very quickly in his company. And then in 2004, I was like, started getting the mindset of like, okay, now that I'm around all these big thinkers and top producers and coaching, and I fell in love with the coaching industry, I was like, I want to get into real estate. I want to make $100,000 a month. So I went into real estate, again, did very good, very quickly, was able to put $100,000 worth of, in escrow in my first 30 days. That was the time that Tom Ferry broke off from Ferry. And he said, hey, will you come on and, coach for us and, help us build up the company. So I did that. Got to the point that while I was over there, I trained a lot of his coaches, trained his whole entire internal staff, created products underneath the Tom Ferry umbrella. And then in 2009, I said, I want to do this a little bit differently. I want to start my own coaching company, and I want to help agents from all over the country become top listing agents. Been doing it ever since. And like they say, the rest is history, and just making a difference the best that I can every single day.
Wow, a lot to dive into there. A lot of things jump out. One thing though is, did Tom recruit you away from his dad? Is that kind of what I heard in there?
No, never.
No.
No, never anything like that. My intention for leaving that company had absolutely nothing to do with any agenda or anything like that. It was all about the agenda. I knew eventually I was going to get into the real estate coaching world. And I wanted to put to test exactly what I've learned. Do I have the mindset? Do I have the skill set? Do I have the systems? Do I have the disciplines? Can I do this? So, and tested it out. And it was a very short, career, again, in real estate, because it wasn't about building, a huge real estate career. It was about transitioning into doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. And the other thing I found really interesting in your background is just how you got started. Just a lot of people start off part time, which is what you did, and I like the concept of getting training, getting stuff done with net time. People talk of net time, like Tony Robbins talks about that, like in no extra time, right? So you got to drive this ice cream truck anyway. So instead of just wasting that time, you get the tapes and you start listening to Mike Ferry, and then that leads to success, right? I mean, other people have that opportunity is out there more than ever right now for people, right?
100%, especially, now that we have the podcast, we got YouTube, we have Audible. I mean, everything's at our fingertips, and it doesn't even require a lot of resources or a lot of money. It's there for the taking for those who want it, and then, 20 plus years into the personal development work, it doesn't stop. I still read a book a week. I still consume an audio program or two every single month. It just never stops.
Yeah, no, that's one thing you hear the term a lot, leaders or readers or learners. Like the more you commit to doing that kind of stuff, the bigger return you're going to get, on everything you do. It's just the reality. Like there's no shortcuts. Like the more you do anything, the better you get. Right. So yeah, thank you for bringing that point out. You seem to be a great example of that. What advice would you have to real estate agents who are maybe starting out, maybe part-time? I'm guessing there's, with everything going on right now with the coronavirus, there are probably a lot of agents who, or agents who are new potentially to the industry, or they did have a job, now they got laid off because their restaurant shut down or whatever it is, right? There's probably a lot of people out there that could pick this up as a side hobby or I shouldn't say hobby, but side hustle and maybe do what you did. What advice would you give to those people?
Well, first of all, I think that would be like a couple of questions wrapped up in one. And let's, since the top of mind for every single person right now is the coronavirus and this whole entire thing, let's tackle that one first.
Sure.
And I think, I'm not going to speak on medical terms or anything like that because I'm not an expert in that. All I'm going to say is that, look, the world is going to do what the world is going to do. The market is going to do what the market is going to do. And, something I learned a long time ago is that there's always two markets. There's the internal market and there's the external market. The external market is something you have absolutely zero control over. And the internal market is the one that you got to get right and you got to control right now. Because if you can't control that one, you can't control what happens or what kind of results you get from the external market. So my advice right now for all my coaching clients from all across the country is this. This time right now is revealing who you really are. And this time right now is when the world is watching you and listening to you. So what you got to focus on is who you are as a leader, because as a real estate professional, what are you? You're a leader. You lead buyers into buying a home. You lead sellers into selling a home. You lead your community, etc. So I said, number one, the first thing that you got to do is you got to make sure you connect with your current clients. You got to connect with your current clients. You got to be the calming force. You got to see them, from whatever they're dealing with right now, all the way to the end of the transaction. Number two, you got to connect with your past clients. Those are the people that have questions right now. How has real estate impacted, how has their real estate been impacted? You need to be there for them. And then your centers of influence, and then your community. So that is where we're placing our biggest focus. The next thing we're saying is, this is an opportunity for you right now because you're off of work. You can't show properties in most states. You can't go on listing appointments in most states. Some states are even saying you can't pick up the phone and solicit. So this is the sit down and take a look at, what systems of mine are broken so I can fix them during this time. Okay. What online channels do I need to audit and enhance and improve during this time? What skills do I lack that I need to focus on, studying, improving, and perfecting over this time? And then last but not least is, how do I play a role in generating leads for the future right now? Because maybe you can't take a listing right now. Maybe you can't sell a home right now, but you could in, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 3 months, however long the stakes. And when we get the green light from our government, you're going back to work. Do you want to go back to work and begin to build your business at that time? Or do you want to begin at that time with a foundation of about 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, many you generate during that time? So this right here is a time for you to regroup, okay, reanalyze, reevaluate, and replan. Your 2020 plan, forget about that right now. That 2020 plan, about that right now. What you need to do right now is you need to create a 90-day plan. How do I just get through the next 90 days? That's what everybody should be doing right now. So that's like in regards to the coronavirus. Now, for a part-time agent or any situation, periodly, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, do all the hard work once. Do all the hard work once is something I live by, Dan. And here's what I mean. Most people, like, they identify the struggle, and what do? They push the struggle to the side. They look for the little shortcut. No. You need to do your due diligence. You need to overcome that struggle. You need to learn that one item. Hey, how many times do you need to learn how to do a listing presentation? One time. How many times do you need to learn how to handle an objection? One time. Why should you have to deal with the same objection for the next 10, 15, 20 years? It's because you never put in the time to learn it that one time the way that you should.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, especially the mentality around Corona. Like, if you think just because certain aspects of what you do or your business is shut down, that means that you have to shut down, then you're going to be behind when you come out of this. Like, you gotta focus on closing out the clients you have now, focus on staying in touch with your past clients, learn and create content and put it out there to the world. Like, there's more eyeballs right now on social media than ever. So, just because everything else shuts down doesn't mean you shut down, right?
I got a client, his name is also Dan, and he's actually coming out live every single day on Facebook and Instagram, and he's just doing an update every single day. The update, sometimes deals with like, hey, deals are still happening. We sold, our county sold that many homes. Our county put that many homes in escrow, that many new listings. And, our county's been affected like this, and our county has been affected by that. And here's how we're adapting, and here's what we're doing, and here's what you need to think about. Here's what you need to do. So he's being the voice for the people. He's being the voice for the people. Now, there's a lot of people who are watching these videos that don't need to buy a home, that don't need to sell a home, but they know someone that they're forwarding that video to that is thinking about buying and or selling or refinancing or investing. So, this is the way I look at it is, in every crisis, there's opportunity. We can focus on the crisis or we can focus on the opportunity. I say common sense, keep yourself healthy, keep yourself sane, and and then strategize on, one, how do I keep the lights on first? And number two, how do I thrive when that door of opportunity opens up?
Yeah, I agree. What kind of specific advice are you giving to people that coach with you on the listing agent side? Because I know you focus mostly on helping listing agents. So what are you telling people, in regards to how to have conversations with their sellers or how to get their home sold if they still want or need to sell their home?
Right. So the first thing I said to every single person is, number one, I need you to be human, and I need you to be compassionate. And I need the conversation that you're having with your people to be about what's in the best interest of the client, not in the best interest of your pocketbook. So that's number one. We got to get out of the way. It's not about you. It's about the client. That, sir, you got to come from a place of contribution. You got to have a servant's heart. So that's number one. So, some sellers, rightfully so, they're consumed the thought of, how do I protect my family right now? Not how do I sell my home? Hey, I say it's okay to lose a deal right now. Just don't lose the client. Okay. So that's number one about our current sellers. So some sellers, they still want to be on the market. Good. Some sellers want to hold off. That's fine. Okay. Some buyers still want to buy a home. We'll work with them. Some buyers want to hold off. That's fine. If it's in their best interest to hold off, we should be telling them it's in your best interest to hold off. But if it's in their best interest to do something right now, then we need to tell them do something right now. Now, at the same time, a lot of my clients are still hitting the phones. They're still calling for sell by owners. They're still calling expireds. All we did was modify that conversation. We're not calling an expired to list their property. We're calling an expired to see what questions they have about how they may have been impacted. And then depending on that conversation, we're either going to pick them up as a lead, or we're going to pick them up as a listing, or we're going to answer a couple of questions, contribute to them, and move on. We're still picking up leads. Look, I got a client that took 5 listings in the last 1 week, all virtual. And guess what? None of them are going on the MLS right now. They all have a to be determined date. They have a to be determined price. They have a contingency that says, you know, if we don't agree on price when it's time to go live on the MLS, then you have the right to cancel the listing. So we're just getting creative and strategic right now. That's all it is.
Yeah. What examples are you seeing or are you teaching of people, you know, for on how to use creativity or use new methods or adapt, like you mentioned virtual, like what kind of tips do you have on that front on how to adapt to this situation?
Well, I think right now for the people that are not tech savvy, they're forced to utilize, you know, technology, et cetera. And what an opportunity to get your game together. I see a lot of real estate being done a lot more virtual in the future, because now people are having to do it, and they're going to fall in love with how much it's going to enhance their business, et cetera. So my clients are using services like, you know, Zoom, just like we are on right now. I think, you know, Zoom is a great one. Some of my clients are doing, you know, FaceTime. Some are doing Skype. Some are doing WhatsApp. Some are doing Facebook, you know, video messenger, Instagram video messenger. We're using all different kind of platforms. I say choose the one that's right for you, and that's the one that you choose in terms of you know technology. But I think the real game changer is not going to just be technology. It's going to be psychology. It's going to be psychology. It's like totally understanding, how do people think? You know, how do people process information? How do people make decisions? Because if you can tap into that, then you can tap into their core, and you can connect their mind to their heart and get them to make that decision that's ultimately going to make it a win-win for every single person. So what I'm spending a lot of time with my clients on right now is totally developing the sales skills. Because here's the thing, some people in this industry are going to be impacted because they don't have any deals impending right now. They got to go out there and get a job. They're going to exit the real estate, at least temporarily, some permanently. So all of a sudden, when you're out there competing for business, when we get back to work, you're not competing with the people that you would naturally win against. You're competing with the best of the best, and you got to be able to compete with those people. So you got to be on your A game when it comes to your skills of influence.
Yeah, I think the psychology is a really good point to hit home, because you have to be able to read, like, you know, how they feel about the situation, what concerns they have. And there's, I imagine, a whole gamut out there of how people feel. Like, some people don't think it's a big deal. Other people, like, are afraid to, like, breathe the air practically, right? And everything in between. So you have to be able to use questions to really get an idea of where that particular buyer or seller is, and then adjust, you know, accordingly.
Right. And then it's a lot simpler than people make it out to be. I mean, how long does it take me to teach someone to read into other people? Well, you know, probably an hour or two. That's it. I give you the lesson in an hour or two. And then obviously, just like any other lesson, you got to practice that. And if you just practice that for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day for the next, 15 to 30 days, you become a master. Now, where the magic really happens once you master that is you become a very magnetic person. Okay. It's like you become more charismatic. You become more magnetic, because all of a sudden you're having conversations that other people are connecting to. Okay. And the key in doing all of this is to become a great listener, because listening is the foundation to all your skills of influence. Not only listening to what it is that they're saying, but listening in between the lines to what it is that they're not saying that they mean to say. And that is the art.
Yeah, and you have a background and training in NLP, correct?
Yes.
And so how does that play a role in what you teach your students, and what agents can learn from with NLP?
Yeah. So, you know, I got to be careful how I say this, because a lot of people, when they think of NLP, they think of manipulation, and you know, it's because obviously, you know, when you have these kind of skills, you can talk anyone into anything you want, anywhere, anytime. Yeah, and some people do use it for evil. We only use it for good. So basically, what you're doing when you're using neuro-linguistic programming in terms of communication is you're using a specific set of words, and you're planting thoughts in the minds of the people to do exactly what you want them to do. But the best part then is have them think that it was their idea to do it to begin with.
Mm.
Okay. So, you know, there's key words, and the way that I teach it is I simplified it into like fill in the blank kind of concept. Okay. You know, some people, they give you scripts. Yeah, I mean, I give scripts for beginners, but you know, it's not about a script. It's about the psychology behind the script, and that's where NLP really comes into play. Now, it's not just the words, okay? It's how you put the words together. Can I give you an example?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so then I have a question for you, and the question is, you being in the presence of a powerful person causes you to become powerful, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. The way that that sentence was structured is to obviously get you to say yes without even having to think about it.
Hmm.
But you being in the presence of a powerful person does not cause you to become powerful. It gives you the opportunity to become powerful. So it's like you're using your words in a way to get people to say yes, 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 yes. And even though you agreed to that question, so now my follow-up would be this. You agreeing to this, you saying yes, proves all the reasons why you need to do business with me, doesn't it? So now you have to think about it, because you know where I'm going with this. But it's clear that, you know, you could, I mean, look, you know, take a look at politicians. They are masters at this. That's exactly the way they're doing it. Take a look at some of the best lawyers in the world. Okay, they're using NLP all day, every single day. You know, hypnotherapists, you know, people, psychiatrists, psychologists, you know, the media, you know, the Viagra commercial or any medical commercials that you see online, they're filled with NLP, but people don't pick up on the trances that they are being put in.
So the bottom line basically is like when you're with this client, you need to kind of figure out what's best for them, and then how do I choose the words
Right.
to get them to realize that, basically, right? Or to come to that conclusion.
It goes to, and you're never going to get, most people can't get there. Most people can't get there because everybody's got a mask on and everybody's giving you a story, but it's not the real accurate story. So in order for you to really go into the mind and into the heart and into the world of the prospect, you have to first win their trust for them to open up and share these things with you. So this is why we say, you know, building rapport is a skill that you got to learn. You know, sometimes you build rapport by default. Yeah, but most times you don't. So you got to get people to like you. You got to get people to respect you. You got to get people to trust you. You got to get people to see you as the expert. Once you do that, they will tell you anything and everything that you need to know. And then from there, you guide them through whatever you need to guide them through to, you know, reach the final the final destination, which is a transaction that's in the best interest of every single person.
So is NLP a part of like what you teach all your students, or something you maybe do a la carte for people, you know, just so people know? 'Cause I know a lot of people maybe have never heard of it or had the training.
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of the people that go through NLP with me are people that have already like been through, you know, the sales process with me ahead of time, because NLP is very advanced skills. Like, you know, in NLP, we don't talk about mindset. You know, we don't talk about lead generation. You know, we don't talk about like, you know, here's how you do a tie down, or here's how you ask an open-ended question. It's all like psychological triggers. So you got to have a little bit of foundation in terms of the sales process and some form of understanding of the psychology that goes into selling before you get into NLP. So that's like a very advanced art and skill.
Yeah, where did you learn NLP from, or how did you learn it?
Yeah. So obviously, I was personally, I mean, I was around Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, and Matthew Ferry 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for approximately altogether of about 11 years. So that's where I got my exposure to it. And I went like my real training began with Matthew Ferry. But the way that I went about it is completely different than the way people go about it, because it was a 6-month course. And what I did is I took it for 18 months in a row. So 5 days a week for 18 months in a row is what it took for me to master it. And then I started seeking out other trainers and other groups and other books and other courses. And I took that, a step further.
Yeah, no, I think that all points back to, what you said earlier, like you have to continue your learning, you have to continue your growth and your training.
Right. But then I want to say something else. Okay. So, a lot of people especially the people that knew the old me, the guy that was broke, the guy that was delivering pizza, and the guy that, people looked at and said, poor him, he could never make it and stuff like that. The key to me becoming who I really am today, the shy introvert, being here and speaking to the world and doing all these things. For me, it was like two things that got me to where I'm at. One was my environment. When I was in the wrong environment, I was the old guy. When I changed my environment and I started hanging around with people who are thinking about, how do I improve every single day? What do I need to learn? What do I need to practice? What do I need to do? Who do I need to be around? How do I say this? How do I say that? When I started being around those people, I started thinking like them. I started walking like them. I started speaking like them. And now I get to live like them. So number one is your environment. And there's never been a better time in history. I had to move 3,000 miles to change my environment. Right now, you can change your environment from the comfort of your home via YouTube, via an audio course. We're all connected somehow, some way. The second thing is, that wasn't enough for me. It wasn't just about the conversations I was having with these people. It was about what is it that I'm doing during my alone time. I was picking up books and I was reading and I was listening to audio programs and I was transcribing and I was journaling and I was, sharing that message with the other people that weren't on my level yet. That's exactly what it is, which all points right back to the internal desire to want to be better. You got to have the hunger. You got to have the desire. If you ain't got that, it doesn't matter what I inject you with. It's going to be short-term motivation. It's got to come from within.
Yeah, I agree, especially on environment. Like that's the fastest way to create lasting change, I've found, is get around people that are doing what you want to do or have already done it.
And then you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in yourself. That's what you got to do. Whether some people can invest coaching, good for them. Some people can't invest in coaching. You can invest in a book for $10.
Yeah, there's never been a better time in the history of the planet to get access to the training and the coaching in whatever form you want to get it. But there's never been a better time in the history of the world to get that. And if you're not taking advantage of that opportunity, you're missing out.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been great having you on today. You're actually the first interview we've done from our South Florida location. We're normally in our studio up in near Washington, D.C. So great to have you on from our remote location. Before we wrap up, I always like to do a HyperFast round. So it's just a few quick questions and rapid fire answers if you're ready. All right.
I'm ready.
What is the biggest challenge you've ever faced and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge showed up twice in my life, not once, and it was a divorce. So I've been divorced twice, and I think that was the biggest challenge for me. And the way that I overcame it was through friendships and support that I've had, and my personal discipline to keep my focus on what matters more, which was my sanity and my health.
Yeah, I've been there myself, so hats off to you. What is the biggest piece of advice you would give to a new real estate agent starting out right now?
I'm sorry, you broke up for a second, so I didn't get the question.
What's the biggest piece of advice you'd give to a new real estate agent starting out right now?
Best advice I can give to that person is to commit the next 90 days to, I would say, number one, learning how to speak to buyers, learning how to speak to sellers, identifying the objections that you get from both, and learning how to master them. And finally, last but not least, is perfecting your listing presentation, because anything and everything that we do to generate leads is easy, but if you can't present, you can't convert. So master your conversion skills.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. What's the biggest mistake that you see most real estate agents make?
I think the biggest mistake is they're spending too much time in learning and less time in execution. Okay, I think speed of implementation is the key. The moment that you learn something, you got to go out there and apply it before you think you're going to perfect it, because the failure and the challenge that you might experience in the application is the feedback that you need to perfect.
Yeah, that's a great one. There's too many people get stuck in analyzing things instead of doing. So I really appreciate that, and really appreciate you being on the show today. Before we sign off, what's the best way people can get in touch with you or follow you or learn more about your coaching and everything you're doing?
I think, ChadiBazzi.com would be my website. And we have a top listing agent, Facebook group. And you can reach that by going to toplistingagentgroup.com. We have a top listing agent show podcast on Instagram. I mean, if you just Google my name, I'm the only Chadi Bazzi that's going to show up. And I'd love to connect with you. We have a lot of free resources. Dan, a lot of free resources for any real estate agent that wants to take their business to the next level. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have anything for sale online. So there's nothing asking for your credit card anywhere, because everything's done through a personal invitation. But first, you have to consume the material.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for letting our listeners and viewers learn how to connect with you and consume your content. I assure you it is all good. So check it out at chadibazzi.com or top listing. What was it? Top listing real estate agent?
Toplistingagent.net.
Toplistingagent.net. So thanks again for being on the show, and thank you to everyone else for tuning in.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos. I read them all each week, and I select winners to give out hats, shirts, coaching calls with me, and tickets to some of our events. I'll see you next time.